Welcome to all devotees. Today we continuing Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2nd chapter, 5th, the cause of all causes, Shlok Kramanka 20 and 21. In this shloka, we try to understand unveiling the supreme from impersonal misconception to devotional realization. Uh, Om Namo Bhagavate
ॐ
Vasudevaya.
नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
Narayan
नारायणं
Namaskritya
नमस्कृत्यं
Naram
नरं
Chaiva
चैव
Narottamam
नरोत्तमं देवीं
Devim
सरस्वतीं
Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam
व्यासं
Udire Nashta
नष्टप्राणेषु
Praneshu
अभद्रेषु
Bhadreshu
नित्यं भागवत
Nityam Bhagavata
सेवया
Sevaya
भगवती
Bhagavati Uttama
उत्तमश्लोके
Shloke Bhakti
भक्तिर्भवति
Bhakti
नैष्ठिकी।
Naishiki. Hare Krishna. Uh, uh, So Esha Bhagavan Lingeihi
2 मिनिट। स एष भगवान् लिङ्गैः
Tribhihi Etehi Adokshajah
त्रिभिः एतैः अथोक्षजः
Su Alakshita Gatihi Brahman
सुअलक्षितगतिः ब्रह्मन्
Sarvesham Mamachishwarah
सर्वेषां मम च ईश्वरः
Kalam Karma Swabhavam Cha
कालं कर्म स्वभावं च
Maya Isha Maya Swaya
माया ईशः मायया स्वया
Atman Redruchaya Praptam
आत्मन् यत् रुच्छया प्राप्तं
Vibhushuhu Upadate
विभुषुः उपाददे।
Sa Esha Bhagavan Nalingai Tribhihi
स एष भगवान् लिङ्गैः त्रिभिः
Etehi Adokshajah
एतैः अधोक्षजः
Sul Alakshita Gati Brahman
सुअलक्षितगतिः ब्रह्मन्
Sarvesham Mamachishwarah
सर्वेषां मम च ईश्वरः
Kalam Karma Swabhavam Cha
कालं कर्म स्वभावं च
Maya Isha Maya Swaya
माया ईश मायया स्वया
Atman Yadruchaya Praptam
आत्मन् यत् रुच्छया प्राप्तं
Vibhushuhu Upadade
विबुभुषुः उपाददे।
Sa Esha Bhagwan Lingehi Tribhihi Etei Adokshajah Su Alakshita Gati Brahman Sarvesham Mamachishwarah Kalam Karma Swabhavam Cha Maya Isha Maya Swaya Atman Yadruchaya Praptam Vibhushu Upadate. Hare Krishna.
स एष भगवान् लिङ्गैः त्रिभिः तैः अधोक्षजः सुअलक्षितगतिः ब्रह्मन् सर्वेषां मम च ईश्वरः कालं कर्म स्वभावं च माया ईश मायया स्वया आत्मन् यत् रुच्छया प्राप्तं विबुभुषुः उपाददे।
Translation and purport by the Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada ki jai. O Brahmana Narada, the superseer, the transcendental Lord is beyond the perception of the material senses of the living entities because of the above mentioned three modes of nature. But he is the controller of everyone. The Lord, who is the controller of all energies, thus creates by his own potency, eternal time, the fate of all living entities and their particular nature, for which they were created, and he again merges them independently. Purport. In the Bhagavad-gītā 7.24 and 25, the Lord has declared very clearly that the impersonalist who gives more importance to the transcendental rays of the Lord as brahmajyoti and who concludes that the absolute truth is ultimately impersonal and only manifests a form of necessity is less intelligent than the personalist. However much the impersonalist may be engaged in studying the Vedanta, the fact is that such impersonalists are covered by the above mentioned three modes of material nature. Therefore, they are unable to approach the transcendental personality of Lord. The Lord is not approachable by everyone because he is curtained by his yoga-māyā potency. But one should not wrongly conclude that the Lord was formerly unmanifested and has now manifested himself in the human form. This misconception of the formlessness of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is due to the Yogamaya curtain of the Lord and can be removed only by the supreme will as soon as the conditioned soul surrenders unto him. The devotees of the Lord who are transcendental to the above mentioned three modes of material nature can see the all blissful transcendental form of the Lord with their vision of love in the attitude of pure service. The creation of material world wherein the conditioned souls are allowed to act subordinately by the Supreme Lord takes place again and again after being repeatedly annihilated. The material creation is something like a cloud in the unlimited sky. The real sky is the spiritual sky, eternally filled with the rays of the brahmajyoti, and a portion of this unlimited sky is covered by the Maya, Tattva, cloud of the material creation, in which the conditioned souls who want to lord it against the will of the Lord are put into play as they desire under the control of the Lord by the agency of his external energy. As the rainy season appears and disappears regularly, the creation takes place and is again annihilated under the control of the Lord, as confirmed in Bhagavad-gītā 8.19. So the creation and annihilation of the material worlds is a regular action of the Lord just to allow the conditioned souls to play as they like and thereby create their own fate of being differently created again in terms of their independent desires at the time of annihilation. The creation therefore takes place at a historical date, as we are accustomed to think of everything which has a beginning in our tiny experience. The process of creation and annihilation is called anadi, or without reference to date regarding the time the creation first took place. Because of duration of even a partial creation is eh, 864 crore years. The law of creation is, however, as mentioned in the Vedic literature, that it is created at certain intervals and is again annihilated by the will of the Lord. The whole material or even the spiritual creation is a manifestation of the energy of the Lord, just as the light and heat of fire are different manifestation of the fire's energy. The Lord therefore exists in his impersonal form by such expansion of energy, and the complete creation rests on impersonal feature. Nonetheless, he keeps himself distinct from such creation as the Purnam, the or complete, and so no one should wrongly think that his personal feature is not existent due to his impersonal unlimited expansions. The impersonal expansion is a manifestation of his energy, and he is always in his personal feature despite his innumerable unlimited expansions of impersonal energies. Bhagavad Gita 9.5 to 7. For human intelligent, it is very difficult to conceive how the whole creation rests on his expansion of energy. But the Lord has given a very good example in the Bhagavad Gita. It is said that although the air and the atoms rest within the huge expansion of the sky, which is like the resting reservoir of everything materially created, still the sky remains separate and unaffected. Similarly, although the Supreme Lord maintains everything created by his expansion of energy, he always remains separate. This is accepted even by Shankaracharya, the great advocate of the impersonal form of the Absolute. He says, Narayana para avektat, or Narayan exists separately apart from the impersonal creative energy. The whole creation thus merges within the body of transcendental Narayan at the time of annihilation, and the creation emanates from his body again with the same unchanging categories of fate and individual nature. The individual living entities, being parts and parcels of the Lord, are sometimes described as Atma, qualitatively one in spiritual constitution, but because such living entities are apt to be attracted to the material creation actively and subjectively. They are therefore different from the Lord. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवान् च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजन सहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पदान् सगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांच नमो ओम विष्णु पदाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनेति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा. Today we continue Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2nd, Chapter 5th, the cause of all causes, Shloka Kramanka 20 and 21. We try to understand. In Shloka 20, Brahmaji told to Narada about the superseer, the transcendental Lord is the beyond the perception of the material senses. Uh, Due to material senses, we cannot pursue the Supreme Lord, and uh, they giving about the three mode of nature. He is controller of everything, including Brahmaji also. And in 21 shloka, they describe about the Lord who is the controller and energy of all, um, and that creates energy, creates an eternal time, potency, fate of living entities, particular nature. All are created by Lord, and they created this again and again and merge also independently as he wish. So those they're describing about, they giving the shloka of Bhagavad-gītā in example 8.19, then shloka of Bhagavad-gītā 9 chapter 5 to 7. So many examples giving the proof about the creation of the Lord, his energies, and how they exist and how they uh, merge independently. Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatarubhyecha kripa sindhubhyecha patitanam pavane Vaishnavyo namah. Prabhuji will tell us
Hare
in
Krishna.
nicely.
Thank you very much, Mataji. So Brahmaji here is trying to make Narada understand many different practicalities about what Krishna really is. So very first fact which comes out is that the Lord is beyond material senses. And that is a fact, especially when we compare it to the limitations of the impersonalists. The impersonalists, since they are conditioned by the material modes of nature, so they cannot perceive the transcendental form of the Lord. Their misunderstanding is ideally due to the will of the yoga-māyā, and that is why surrender is important. Not only important, it is essential, I would say, to have that wheel of yoga-māyā lifted. And only when the wheel of the yoga-māyā is lifted can they see the transcendental form of the Lord. It is just like a drama which is being run on the stage. As long as the curtains are there, what the actors are doing beyond is not visible. But the moment the bell rings and the curtains open, the show starts. Similarly, impersonalists are not able to see the real Krishna. And this is something which is highlighted, this mistake, in Bhagavad-gītā 7th chapter, 24th and 25th verse, by Krishna himself, where he says that the impersonalists are thinking Krishna's form is temporary or illusory. They focus predominantly on his impersonal effulgence known as the brahmajyoti. And this is misunderstanding actually is emanating from, stemming from the limited appreciation of the higher personal aspect of God. So homework, we have to read 7th chapter, shloka number 24 and 25 along with purport today. So after making the limitations of the impersonalists understood, what Brahmaji is also trying to make Naradji understand, and through him, us, as explained by Prabhupada is how the devotees perceive the Lord. Pure devotees, through loving devotional service, are able to see the Lord's eternal blissful form. Loving, pure, devotional service. So Yamunācārya's teachings emphasize that demoniac, passion, and ignorance dominated persons cannot understand God. So what is important is love towards Krishna. What is important is service towards Krishna. What is important is devotion to Krishna. And then that is possibility. But again, not everyone who is able to do it gets the realization. The realization comes through mercy, not speculation. Brahma Samhita, Srimad Bhagavatam, they clarify that mere Vedantic study does not grant realization of the Lord. His mercy is essential. Even Shankaracharya ji accepted Krishna as Param Purush. But unfortunately, the modern impersonalists do not. It is very important to understand that Krishna is not an ordinary being. Fools, they see Krishna as a historical figure, and that is why Krishna declares, Avjananti Mam Mudhaha. The worshippers of demigods are blinded by desires. So both cannot understand Krishna. But true devotees, they reach Krishna Lok, Golok Vrindavan. So devotional service is the only way. Only devotees and not mental speculators can realize Krishna's form, qualities, and names. Devotional practice, especially chanting the Maha Mantra, is the key to transcendental vision. And that is why, after explaining this thing, Brahmaji immediately explains how Supreme Lord is the creator and witness, the purpose of creation and annihilation. Creation, destruction allow conditioned souls to fulfill their desires and shape their fate. So these are cyclical and eternal events, anadi. They're not linear history. And they keep on happening simultaneously in so many different universes. In fact, it is said that a partial creation spans over 8.64 billion Earth years. And this creation originates from the Lord's energy. Just like heat and light are energies of fire, the material world is also an expansion of the Lord's impersonal energy. So, despite pervading everything, the Lord still remains aloof and unaffected. And that is where we have seen the analogy of sky and air. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord's energy is compared to the sky holding atoms and air. Though pervaded, the Lord remains distinct. Shankaracharya was an impersonalist, but despite being that, he acknowledged this with saying, Narayana Paraha Avyaktatah. So this whole material world actually gets reabsorbed into the Lord. At annihilation, all elements merge back into Narayan, maintaining the same categories and fates for future recreation. So what is important is spiritualizing material activities. Yajna, the concept of yajna or sacrifice is very important. All material activities, if done for Lord's pleasure, become transcendental yajnas. In Bhagavad Gita, 4th chapter, 27th verse, and 14th chapter, 27th verse, sorry, 4th chapter, 24th verse, and 14th chapter, 27th verse, Krishna explains how devotional service transforms the mundane into spiritual essence, how Brahman is Krishna's effulgence. So, loving devotional service is the highest yajna. True yajna culminates in love for Vishnu, bringing one to a state of absorption in Brahman. And those thus engage purify their hearts and attain the original spiritual identity. They have got two paths, one for devotees and one for materialists. Karma yogis, realized souls, they remain detached from matter, master their senses, and bring auspiciousness to the world. In Bhagavad Gita 5.7, Krishna says, though always working, they are never entangled. And secondly, the fruitive workers and the impersonal misuse. The materialist, they indulge in sense gratification, yet claim their actions are sanctioned by God. This is hypocrisy and ignorance. Because Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 5.14 that the soul neither acts nor causes action, the modes do. So we have to understand the trap of Maya and the way out. Maya works through its two energies, the Avaranatmika covering and the Prekshepatmika throwing, which keeps the soul in illusion. Contact with the mundane traps the soul in the cycle of birth, death, old age, and disease. The solution is spiritualization through bhakti. The soul must engage in devotional service guided by a guru, a shiksha guru, or a diksha guru. Everything can be spiritualized, be it food, objects, body, when offered to Krishna. We also need to understand the importance of free will and the role of the soul. We all have the minute independence. The soul has free will, misused in attempting to dominate nature, leading to entrapment in the modes. This results in new material nature centered around sense gratification. So there is never any injustice by Krishna. The Lord does not impose fate, He is impartial. He recommends detachment, but soul's forgetfulness leads to suffering. And understanding this avoids misrepresenting the Lord as partial or unjust. So what we understand is the personal God and the path to liberation. Shankaracharya's impersonalism caused scriptural confusion. True realization lies in understanding that everything is energy of Krishna. So using matter in his service restores spiritual consciousness, liberation, ultimate truth. They are attained not through speculation, but through bhakti yoga and pure devotional service. And that is why it is very, very important that we keep chanting, we keep associating with devotees, we keep reading the scriptures, we participate in Sankirtan Yagyas, we engage in deity worship, we engage in service to the Vaishnavas, to Guru and Krishna. This way, we are in a position to regulate our body. And when we are successful enough in regulating our body, We can immediately understand the superseer, the transcendental Lord, which is beyond the perception of the material senses, Adokshraja. We can understand that he is the supreme controller through the energies, because everything is created by him and everything merges him. And with this understanding, we will be in a position to understand our eternal position of servitude to Krishna. And thus, we will overcome all kinds of anxieties, all kinds of fears, all kinds of failures, because service unto Lord is the true success. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Cheto